I'd like to call this meeting of the Coventry Town Council to order at 6:04 PM. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown? Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Here.
Member Ducci?
Here.
Lima?
Here, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. In the event of an emergency, those present this evening can exit outdoors labeled number 1 or 2 in the back of council chambers to the front lawn or back parking lot of Town Hall. Moving to meeting minutes from prior meetings, we have one set this evening, April 22nd, 2025, executive session. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Councilman Brown, second by Vice President Verducci. Discussion. I'm not comfortable. Councilman Brown? I'm not comfortable approving these tonight. I just looked them over as we were given them, and these are, in my opinion, a very important set of minutes, and I'd like to see a clean version of them with some edits I made. So that's my position. Obviously, I'm one person on this council, but that's where I'm at. I cannot vote to approve these tonight. Yes.
I'll table the motion that I presented.
So it's a motion to continue. Solicitor Angel.
The first motion needs to be withdrawn, and if it's a motion to table, then it specifically puts the council under Robert's Rules of Order, a time frame within which to get them done. In the past, we've continued to a date certain. That would be my recommendation, but it's the council's choice.
Okay, so we need a withdrawal of the motion and continue to either May 27th or June, is it 10th? Okay, yeah, May 27th, all right. Councilman Brown, do you withdraw your motion?
Or the motion and table it till May 27th.
We have a motion to table to May 27th from Councilman Brown. Do I have a second from Councilman Pasqua? Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Member Ducci?
Yes.
Lima?
Yes.
In the affirmative, zero in the negative, motion passes.
Moving to public acknowledgements and commendations, we have two this evening. First one is for Lois Weber. Is Lois here this evening? Hi. Want to come on up? Just switch to the podium. Welcome. The council was notified of your service to the community and wanted you to be recognized, and we're happy to do that this evening. So we've got a proclamation we'd love to read for you. Certificate of participation to Lois Weber of Girl Scout Troop 945. Whereas the Girl Scouts of America is the largest volunteer organization for girls in the world, whereas the Gold Award is the highest award in Girl Scouting. Since 1916, the Gold Award has stood for excellence in leadership for girls everywhere, whereas Girl Scout Gold Award recipients have demonstrated leadership by taking charge and affecting change locally, nationally, and worldwide through sustainable take action projects. In testimony whereof, and on behalf of the Honorable Coventry Town Council, we recognize Lois Weber. I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town to be affixed this 13th day of May, 2025. I was a Girl Scout, but I didn't get this far. So congratulations. I know what a big deal this is, and I'm sure your family and friends are so proud, and your fellow troop members. So congratulations, and thank you for your service to the community. We have one other this evening, but Madam Clerk, I think she couldn't be here tonight. All right, can I think we should move this to when she can be here, so we'll continue this to our next meeting. All right. Now moving to public comment on docketed items. This is for comment on those items on our agenda this evening. Please come forward to the podium, make sure the mic is on, and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Luke Murray, 121 Hill Farm Camp Road. It's been a little while since I've engaged, but I felt compelled to tonight because I haven't seen that much participation in the budget process. Now, I don't know how many emails you've gotten, but the most recent meeting that I saw, I was a bit concerned. I typically am more engaged. I go through the budget. Last year, I went through the budget. Budgets come down to a lot of things, but really it comes down to trust. Do I trust the manager to do his job? Do I trust the finance director to do his job? Do I trust the council, who I voted for, or maybe not, to do their job? And in this case, I do think they did. And I am in favor of the 1.48% increase as it sits. I iterated that in my email, so I won't bore you with the details, but I wanted to say it in public. I'm also not in favor of cutting any non-union raises. I don't think it's fair that we save a couple pennies on the tax rate on the backs of those who work so hard. There's many probably sitting in this room on overtime, unpaid overtime, right, who are very skilled, who have tenured careers. It's much more costly to lose them than it is to pay to keep them. Trust me, I know. So the current environment, as you all know, is very difficult to find good labor, especially at the upper echelons of municipal government. You typically don't go to school to be an assessor. You don't go to school to be a clerk. It's a learned trade through many years, and we're finding a lot of the retirements are happening now. You have a good team, first team I've seen in a long time that I can actually say that. I've been involved here, I've lived here over 40 years. I've been involved kind of in politics here probably over a dozen, and this is the first couple of years where I really felt like the town is moving forward with a good management team. And you want to back the town manager and do that. So for those who are, probably urging you to go another way, I would say that, those staying at home kind of is a voice, right? They're telling you that they're happy with things, right? If they're not, they would probably be here. We all know that, because usually people come out when things are bad. We haven't seen a lot of people come out on a lot of issues, especially with regards to budget and things, actual issues, in a long time. And that's a credit to you and the administration. One last thing I will say on a docketed item, separate issue. I noticed that Safe Streets for All is on tonight. I noticed that there's a proposal for preparing a grant application. I wanted to applaud the administration and the council for bringing that forward. That's a lot of federal money in that pot, one of the few pots that are still open prospectively for now. And that could go a long way. It's upwards of $25 million on those grants. I know that you've been working with Bowman. I've also been working with Bowman and Eric Weiss, who's on the project team there. They've been fantastic to work with. That's a great roadmap, and if you can get funding out of that roadmap, that would be a great thing. So I urge you to pass that proposal and move forward a really solid application for funding. That's all I have.
Thanks, Luke. Public comment on docketed items. Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Make sure the microphone is green.
Hi, Brittany Boyer, 318 Town Farm Road. I want to speak tonight about Resolution 2025-58 on the hopes you will all be voting yes on the importance of declaring Coventry a Second Amendment sanctuary town. This isn't about politics, it's about principle. The Second Amendment to the Constitution guarantees law-abiding citizens the right to keep and bear arms, and it shouldn't be undermined by state or federal laws that punish responsible gun owners instead of focusing on real crime. We're seeing more and more legislation passed in recent years that seems to go too far, limiting the rights of good people while doing little to improve safety, and that concerns me. Coventry is a town built on respect for the Constitution. By passing this resolution, we're not rejecting law or order, we're affirming our support for it. We're standing by the Constitution, and we're making it clear that we want our local officials and law enforcement to focus on keeping our community safe without being forced to enforce laws that violate basic rights. This resolution sends a message that Coventry stands with its residents, with the Constitution, and with the Second Amendment. So tonight, I respectfully ask each of you on this council to vote yes on the resolution to make Coventry a Second Amendment sanctuary. It's a meaningful, peaceful, and principled way to show your support for the rights we all value. Thank you.
Public comment on docketed items only. Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Should be green, yep.
Sorry, I'm not used to this. Okay, Kayla Amaral, 52 Hornbeam Road. What I have to say is not as good as Brittany's prepared statement there, but I wanted to say thank you for bringing this resolution forward, and I hope that you all stand in favor of that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Council chambers before we move to Zoom. We have one hand up on Zoom. Please unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record.
Hey, folks. Tom Nichols, 159 Lewis Farm Road. I also just wanted to say I'm supportive of the Second Amendment resolution. Even if it's symbolic, I think it's an important step to let people at the state level know how the citizens feel. We're way out in the far side of Coventry. It's very rural. We live on a farm, and like many other people in town, we feel that the laws that are being proposed, the bills that are being proposed, are really punish lawful citizens, and they affect everybody, not just the people who are in cities. So we appreciate the council putting that resolution forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Members of the public on Zoom, please raise your hand to be let in. Public comment on docketed items only. Public comment going once, twice, 3 times. Public comment on docketed items is closed. At this time, I'll seek a motion to open public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Vice President Verducci, second by Councilwoman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
yes,
Verducci?
Yes.
And the negative motion passes.
We have 3 sets, categories of licenses this evening for public hearing. Manager Perillo, any comments on any of these, or Madam Clerk?
No concerns for A and B, and I can go into more detail when it comes to the CDBG pot for C.
Okay. We'll do the auto salvage license renewals and secondhand license renewals. Any public comment for public hearing on those license renewals? Just come forward to the microphone, state your name and address to the record. Any members of the public on Zoom? Okay. Manager Perillo, if you want to go on to C, the application for the CDBG grants.
So this year's CDBG application has been submitted through our CDBG office. Jerry is here. She can give us a brief introduction as to what the projects are that we're moving forward with. So we have identified 3 projects that we're going to be looking for through the CDBG program. One is the Quinnick Road paving that was in last year, so we're putting that back in. That price has gone up to about $500,000. We've added a program for the Coventry youth through CCAP, and the last one is a new HVAC system for the Human Services building. I know the building is relatively new, but the system that was installed is failing weekly. So that's why we're asking for those 3 projects, and I'll turn it over to Jerry for more detail.
good evening. Any additional questions?
Vice President Verducci.
Just wondering for us who are new and those, if you could describe kind of the big picture of the block grant and, how it gets applied and selection.
Be the 101? Okay, I can do that. Community development block grants come from the federal government under the HUD program. For us, for Coventry and the small cities, and that's what we're called if we're not an entitlement community like Warwick or Cumberland or Providence. We apply to the state in their system, and with any luck, we get approved. We get the parks for Quidnet section approved the last cycle, along with Coventry Housing. It's an annual application, although this year the state did delay from applying. They moved it out, so we're behind. They're going, with any luck, we'll get answers by August or September for this funding. I do have Kevin here, and I do have the CEO from CCAP here. If you have any specific questions about the two programs Kevin's submitting, the roads and the HVAC, or the CPAC program. Did I give you enough?
No, that's. I knew all that.
You knew it all. No, I started in 2004 with starting to apply as a nonprofit organization. Cornerstone Adult Services was what I worked with Gail on here in town.
Is there any local match for the grant, or is it a?
No local match right now. Okay, we are bringing this program back alive after it being dead about 6 years. So I'm knee-deep in getting it going. So I'm hoping next year I stand here, there'll be more public service, and we're going to be reporting that we've got all these big grants out for the town too, so. Okay.
Just wondering on the HVAC system, I know you mentioned it, you know, to us, we don't get new buildings a lot, so I know a lot of people will still consider that a new building. Anything we can go after as far as, you know, the oversight process, warranties, things like that, or was this just a system that didn't work, or?
To my knowledge, again, Kevin may have more detail, but to my knowledge, the system that was installed was not the right system for that rooftop. So the pipes are rusting, failing to work, the heat is not kicking in the senior center. Bob's come in and the place has been ice cold. Since that's our warming shelter, it's not good when the warming shelter is ice cold. So this is definitely an opportunity, we feel, to get that replaced and fixed so it's in great working order. Especially, like I said, as part of it's the police headquarters and it's our EMA station as well.
Councilwoman Capaldi.
Who would put the wrong air condition unit HVAC system into a new building when it was new?
That was 2019. I can't speak to how that process went.
Councilman Pasqua.
It was Tower Construction, and I wonder if, like, we have any recourse with them. I mean, it seems kind of crazy.
The agenda on the CBDG.
Councilwoman Capaldi.
Will we have oversight of this new one that we're trying to buy to make sure it's the right, correct one?
As long as we do it before Kevin retires, there will be oversight, yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All right, thank you. Last call, public comment. I don't know if anyone had any on the CDBG piece. Council Chambers? Zoom? With that, I'll seek a motion to close public hearing.
A motion.
Motion by Councilman Capaldi, second by Councilman Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown? Yes. Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Verducci?
Yes.
Lima?
Yes.
Zero in the negative, motion passes.
At this time, I will seek a motion to take auto salvage license renewals listed under item A as a block.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Capaldi. Second by Councilman Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? President Verducci?
Yes.
Lima?
Yes.
Zero in the negative, motion passes.
And a motion to approve the block of auto salvage license renewals.
A second.
Motion by Councilman Pasqua, second by Councilwoman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
Affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Do I hear a motion to approve secondhand license renewals as a block?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Pasqua, second by Councilwoman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Vice President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
And a motion to approve the block of secondhand license renewals.
I'll motion.
Motion by Councilman Capaldi, second by Councilman Pasqua. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
Affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
The item C is considered in a resolution later in our agenda. We'll now move to election and/or appointment of town officials. We have 7 commissions or boards with vacancies. We will look to Coventry Library Board of Trustees. Do I hear a motion to reappoint Barbara Bridge and Evan Barta?
Motion to reappoint?
Motion by Vice President Verducci,
Second.
second by Councilman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
Affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Coventry Planning Commission, 1 renewal, 1 applicant, Kevin Reyes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Pasqua. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
Affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Coventry Zoning Board of Review, we have 1 member looking to go from alternate to full member, Leonard Doug. Do I hear a motion to approve?
A second.
Motion by Councilman Pasqua, second by Councilwoman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
Affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Coventry Friends of Human Services, 3 renewals, Judith Taylor, Virginia Newton, and Anna Crute. Do I hear a motion to approve the appointment?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilwoman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Vice President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
Affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Coventry Housing Authority, 1 renewal, Scott Duckworth. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Pasqua. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
Affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Patuxent River Authority, 1 renewal, John Gratian III. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Pasqua, second by Councilwoman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
0 in the negative, motion passes.
Very welcome. Conservation Commission, we have 2 appointments this evening, Thomas Pendergast and Gerard Narkowitz. Do I hear a motion to approve the appointments?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Pasqua. Any discussion? Hit it, Carrie.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Thank you to applicants and renewals for your continued service to the town. We really appreciate it. Report of the town manager, 2 items this evening. Manager Perillo.
So the first thing is just a presentation of additional POs that the school is moving forward on that will be paid out through the bond. This small batch is about $358,000. That covers some science lab equipment, some rigging, and some gymnasium lighting and equipment. So again, this is just to keep the council in the loop as to what's being ordered and spent, and it's all going to be paid out through the bond. And just so you know, the bond application has been submitted. It's been accepted by Ryback First hearing is May, second hearing is going to be in June, and we should have access to the funding in mid-July.
Discussion on that item from the town manager? All right.
And the second item is a resolution that's going to be in front of you later on regarding using impact fees to purchase items necessary for the pretreatment of the high school for the sewer line connection. There's some valves and some other equipment that's needed in order to move this process forward. So the school is going to be using impact fees to purchase that. So you'll see that in the resolution later on in the evening.
Any discussion from the manager? All right, thank you very much. Resolutions of the council, we have a few this evening. Items A, B, C, and D. Resolutions 2025-50 through 53 are for the Community Learning Center. Do I hear a motion to consider those as a block?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Pasqua, second by Councilwoman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Manager Perillo.
So I'll have Kevin come up and explain these. So these are the last four contractor invoices or contractor bids that we need to complete the annex project. These were the last four that were remaining. So Kevin can give you more detail, but this should be the last of them. And once everyone is now on board, we should be hot and heavy in getting that annex center done by September.
Good evening. The first one that's on the agenda is for the precast concrete curb installation. That requires a specialized piece of equipment to set that on a Jeep with an outrigger. We went out to bid, and prices we have received cost of $20.50 per linear foot was the lowest price. It ranged up to $50 to $150 a foot. So this company we've dealt with in the past, and they're qualified and lowest price. Recommend moving forward with this because we can get moving on that right away. The back is graded, ready for the binder and the islands to be put in. Any questions?
Any questions on that one? Vice President Verducci.
Just in general on these, did you say we went out like a full RFP? We didn't do MPA? Okay, so if there were better prices, we would have got them. Thank you.
Anything else you want to add on these?
Precast concrete, that's all on that one. The other ones were for the services. We were having a problem. We went out twice to bid for carpentry services, flooring, and painting, and we couldn't get bids that were within the realm of reality. One person bid over $1 million for painting. Another one was $700,000 for flooring. Carpentry ran up to $1.2 million. So we went back out and continued to work with contractors, and we had a contractor that has done work in the past for the architect and provided a quote for us. We compared it, and heads and tails, this is the company we need to go with because they have all three disciplines that they're handling. They normally do GC work, but they have all three of the principles they can do this. I recommend passage, please.
Councilwoman Capaldi.
I asked the town manager, because I noticed that this is the same company doing the flooring, the painting, and the drywall, and flooring. So collectively, that's almost about $1 million. I think I added up all of the costs. So
Amounts are on there, yes.
So that's the cheapest way to go with this one company to do all three?
They're the ones that provided us the lowest, each one of those disciplines, they provided us the lowest qualified bid for each of those.
Awesome, thank you.
Anything else on these resolutions?
I'm going to have one more small one, probably the next meeting, for millwork and countertops that we did not include because the president was on vacation, so I couldn't make it for this one here, but it'll be on the next bid.
Thank you, Mr. McGee.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on these four resolutions? Yes, Vice President Verducci.
Just a quick one, how are we looking overall budget-wise with the mill work that's still pending?
Right now, we are, with change orders that have already been documented, we are at about 3.7 million with the contracts that we have, and we have allocated 4.6 million, I believe. So we still, and that's not counting site work, but we got some paving and some curbing, when that will go on that, but we're still going to be okay, including the money we need for FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So we're trying. Yes. Hopefully we'll find no more asbestos.
Do I have to make my joke again? No, I won't. Any further discussion from the council? Do I hear a motion to approve Resolution 2025-50 through 53?
Motion?
Second.
Motion by Vice President Verducci, second by Councilman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Do you have anything else on here?
The next item I'll be talking with is when Eric Weiss makes his Safe Streets for All. I'll stay for that,
Okay,
besides the budget.
all right. The next item, Resolution 2025-54, approval of the application for 3 community development block grants. Madam Clerk, I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice President Verducci, and I'll give you this recusal form.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion from Councilman Brown, seconded by,
Record,
oh,
on a motion to approve anything, you haven't identified what you're approving.
right. So this is Resolution 2025-54. Do we have a motion to approve that?
Resolution 2025-54.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just to give you some more details, so the paving part of it is $520,741. That's about 14 roads in that MacArthur Boulevard, Quinnick area. The Coventry Youth CCAP program is $40,000, and the HVAC for the Human Services Building is $1.125. Also, this has been presented in front of the Planning Commission, and they also approved it, and just awaits the council approval at this time before submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Vice President Verducci?
Yes.
4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention. Motion passes.
All right, if someone can grab.
Moving to item F, Resolution 2025-55, awarding the contract to Safety Marking LLC to restripe Arnold Road. This is on page 54 in our packets. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Capaldi, second by Councilman Pasqua. Manager Perillo.
So this was the road striping issue that was brought up regarding the sewer caps being struck by the vehicles that pass. So we, on the council's behalf, we had our safety marking striping company go out there. We advised them the goal was to remove the travel lane, the bike lane on the right-hand side from Arnold Road at Tioga to Johnson Boulevard. Right now, that was about a 4 to 4.5 foot strip for the bike lane. We told them to reduce that to 1 foot and then move the yellow line and the other fog lines on the opposite side in accordance with the structure of the road to permit more parking in front of the causeway, so it wasn't as dangerous for people to park on the causeway. So this is the estimate that we got from them to do that job, $19,545.
Councilman Capaldi.
Town manager, what you just, how you just described that, what they're going to do and how they're going to move it and everything. Bottom line is, when cars now drive whatever direction that is, it won't hit the manhole covers to annoy all the people that live on the side of.
Correct. As long as people are traveling in the lane of travel, they should
Right.
not strike the sewer cap covers.
Perfect. Thank you.
I know there was some discussion about providing a diagram of what they're going to do. I was just unable to get that. So basically, they just follow the directions that we had them do, so.
So this resolution is just to award the contract and earmark the funding.
For the striping, correct.
Okay, yeah, this
Yep.
isn't, okay, gotcha. Madam Clerk, what have you received?
The removal of the signage and fixing the cement, DPW is going to take that on themselves, so there'll be no cost to those changes.
Okay.
This is just for the striping.
Do I hear a motion to admit Mr. Riccio's submission into the record?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Capaldi,
Second.
second by Councilman Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none. Yes, Mr. Riccio. Sure.
Gino Ricciolano Road. If you look at the diagram, this is what it looks like right now. And you can see where the sewer cover is. If they move the white line over 4 feet, which is fine, but that center line has to be moved 4 feet too, in accordance, because that will put the cover basically near the center. What I was worried about is, he said they're just gonna do it accordingly. They have to do the whole thing has to be shifted, in other words. And just like you had said, Jonathan, if they do that right, because as you can see, my lane's 11 feet. The lane with the parking adjacent is 10 foot 1 inch. So you'd still have the 4 feet on the other side you could play with for the parking and the lane.
Manager said that they were gonna, the whole thing.
So,
He's nodding your head as you're explaining what you want.
yeah, so in other words, the 4 foot line goes over, they all go for. Okay, so what if they do it wrong? Is there any recourse if they don't do it right, or? Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay,
This is the contract for service, so awarding the contract, yeah.
okay. I just wanted to clarify so you guys know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the drawing. So,
I want to know if you were standing with the measuring tape out in the middle of the road.
And you know how I was lucky, they were doing some kind of like, National Grid was doing work right at the beginning of it. So every time that they tried, that Stars Cop, I ran out in the road and drew the tape.
Play in traffic is not a threat to Gino.
I don't know if you guys can see this.
Those are exact measurements.
it's better than my diagram, so thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Manager Perillo, are G and J, should they be considered together, kind of?
Yeah, so the first one is to adopt the safety action plan that Bowman wrote for the town of Coventry through RIPTA. And the second one is for the council to approve funding up to $15,000 for them to put the grant in for the actual project that Luke was talking about, ranging from $2 million to $25 million. So they are together. I know Mr. Weiss is here to do a short presentation and explain the whole project to you guys.
All right, does Mr. McGee need to come up first or just wait?
I would say, I think Eric could come up
Okay.
first, and then if there's any questions locally for Mr. McGee, he's been working on this for about 2 years, so he's,
Is that all?
yeah.
All right, we'll do the presentation then.
Thank you to the council. My name is Eric Weiss. I'm a transportation planner with Bowman Consulting in Lincoln, Rhode Island. For about a year, we worked on the safety action plan for the town of Coventry, along with an all-star team of town staff, including Kevin. I had a 15-minute presentation, and then Maria told me that tonight is budget night, so I cut it down to 5 out of respect for everybody's time. And so hopefully there won't be too many questions because of the slides I had to omit, but we'll run through these and in an efficient manner. And if there are any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And I hope you'll forgive me if I turn myself this way so I can see the slides. Next, please. Thank you. So Safe Streets for All is a federal program out of US DOT. It was started about 4 years ago. Next year is the last year of funding. It offers 2 types of grants, planning grants and implementation grants. Everything is based on the safe system approach, which you see in that diagram there. The overarching goal of the whole program is to greatly reduce and ultimately eliminate roadway fatalities and serious injuries. Next, please. Here we see the team that came together to work on this plan from the town as well as from my company. RIPTA is the agency that brought in the grant. Basically statewide, 31 municipalities joined in, each of those 31 getting their own safety action plan, as well as creating a statewide safety action plan. Next, please. Every safety action plan has these 8 components. Rather than spend time walking through all of them, I'm gonna show a few slides focusing on the safety analysis and the project selections and prioritization process, which are really the most interesting parts of the whole plan. Next, please. So this is why Coventry wanted to participate, because of the serious injuries and fatalities that have happened during the 5 years of data collection from January 1st, 2019 to the end of 2023. On the bottom there, you see the disparity for people not in cars caught in crashes. So even though only slightly more than 1% of crashes in Coventry involved pedestrians and bicyclists, those people involved were 5 times more likely to be injured. Next, please. We did 3 types of data analysis. Baseline crash analysis, which is basically just looking at where the crashes are and mapping them out so we can assess and look for patterns. Next, please. The next is the high-risk network analysis, which is a little more interesting. Basically, we looked at data statewide to see where the crashes are happening all over the state and looking at the characteristics of the roadways, seeing for all the crashes, enormous spreadsheet. How many lanes wide are these roads? What is the speed limit on these roads? What's the average daily traffic on these roads? All these sorts of things. And in doing so, we can find patterns and then identify roads that have those characteristics. And so even if there aren't crashes happening yet, we know because of this analysis that these are roadways that are more likely to have crashes. So that's what high-risk network means. Next, please. And then we have the high injury network, which is sort of a combination of the 2. So we map out where crashes are happening and where we anticipate crashes will happen. And this is a good place to start addressing intersections and corridors. Next, please. Again, we see how, as compared to folks in cars and trucks, how much more likely folks that we call, well, you see that in the acronym VRU, stands for vulnerable road users, folks who don't have, a steel roll cage surrounding them or seat belts are much more likely to be injured, seriously injured. Next, please. We did a fair amount of public engagement as part of the process. Your former Parks and Rec director, Raina, was enormously helpful. She was a real star for this process. But we're a debt of gratitude. She set us up tabling at 2 of the events that she had organized. It was Coventry Night Out and Grandparents' Day. Talked with a lot of folks. We also did some stakeholder interviews, including with Julie Letty. She was absolutely marvelous, super helpful. And there was also a survey statewide. One of the questions was, what's your area, what's your zip code? So we were able to determine from those anonymous surveys which ones were from Coventry. Next, please. So what it all comes down to is, what are the locations we selected? We looked at the crash data, but also listened to the public and the stakeholders to create a short list of locations that we all felt needed to be addressed in the safety action plan. And you see that list here and in the printouts that I think were part of your package, I think, if the slides were printed out. Next, please. Actually, can we go back to that last one? Forgive me. The green column shows you the prioritization that we worked out. We asked the members of the task force to vote on different criteria that would help us to determine how these projects would be prioritized. Things like, does it appear important in the crash data? Is it near a public school? Is it near a commercial district? Is it near public and elder housing? All sorts of different criteria that were used to rank the projects. Next, please. So for each of these, we made recommendations based on Federal Highway's proven safety countermeasures. Federal Highway has a list of 28 of these roadway countermeasures that are proven to greatly reduce crashes and particularly injury and fatality crashes. So I put 4 examples up there. So for instance, the third one there, simply by widening the edge line, that's, or some people call it the fog line, the white line on the edge, simply widening it can reduce roadway departure crashes by more than 1/3. So these are really important countermeasures, and this is sort of the pool that we started with. Next, please. So I'll just give a couple examples. At Black Rock Elementary, we made observations and recommendations. We see that there's no sidewalks. I don't know about you all. I always walked to school as a kid. These days, not a whole lot of kids are walking to school. There's a lot of reasons behind that. One of the reasons is sort of the evolution of where schools are in our towns. And over the last 40 years or so, more and more are being built in more rural areas because that's where the cheaper land is. But there also happens to be fewer streets and fewer sidewalks. So here at Gervais Street near Black Rock Elementary, we see opportunity for a modern crosswalk and an RRFB, which stands for Rectangular Rapid Flashing Beacon. There's a little graphic for that on the right. So this is an example of the sort of recommendations that we're making for each location. Next, please. So for each of those locations in the safety action plan, there's a little summary like you see here, which includes not just the proposed countermeasures, but also a planning level approximate cost. So in the report, in the plan that is, there's the full list of locations, and for each of them, the list of proposed countermeasures. This is an a la carte plan, so the town can pick and choose which of these locations they'd like to go after funding for, and within those locations can pick and choose which of the countermeasures the town wants to pursue funding for. Next, please. So here's our next steps. The window for applying for implementation funds is open right now. There's over $500 million available nationwide, and the average grant is anticipated to be between $2.5 million and $25 million. Next year will be the last time it's offered, and then the Safe Streets for All program simply runs out of money. But in order to apply in this round, the plan needs to be adopted officially by the town, which I think is the next item.
Any discussion, questions? Vice President Verducci.
So just on a grant piece of it, so I heard RIPTA at the beginning of this, RIPTA already has their own grant, or this?
It's kind of a strange situation. The program nationwide, state agencies are not permitted to apply. The intent was to get the money in local. RIPTA legally is not a state agency, it's a quasi. But it operates statewide. I think there may be 2 municipalities where it doesn't have service, but legally it was allowed to apply. So there was some kind of conversations happening behind the curtain that I wasn't witness to. And RIPTA said, yes, we'll do the applications, and then we will invite all the municipalities to join us. I should also mention, there was never any pressure to put extra stress on, bus stops and people walking to bus stops, never anything like that.
So our part in this is to approve the funding to get the application in?
There's 2 pieces, I'm sorry to.
Oh, no, go ahead.
First is to approve the plan itself, to adopt the plan.
Right.
And then, once the plan is adopted, the town is eligible to apply for the implementation funds, and that's the second piece.
In that pot, we could stand to get between the 2 and 25, or was that statewide for the 2 and 25?
That would be, this application would be just from the town, and the money would be just for the town.
What's the pot that we could stand to get?
What I've read is that grants will be issued between 2.5 mil and 25 mil.
And then we have a 20% match. What do we get?
Councilman Capaldi.
So does that grant take care of all of these signs and all the construction of what needs to happen, sidewalks? That grant, whatever we get, will dictate what we can do.
Yes, so the application that gets prepared will, in the application process, will include the list, as I mentioned, the à la carte offering. It will detail precisely what is going to get built, and then the funds will only be used for those projects.
So 10 years from now, if some of this stuff needs to be fixed, there is no more grant. Didn't you say just?
The Safe Streets for All program will be done. There will be undoubtedly other sources.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, Vice President Verducci.
Just wondering for the town manager, if once we adopt this plan, does that get baked into other things we do, planning and other stuff around town?
I would think as the build-out of the town occurs, this plan is part of that process regarding sidewalks and intersections and so forth. So yeah, I think that's why I think Doug was on it, the police department was on it. I think the team has a comprehensive idea of how to use this plan.
If I could add on to that. It's very important because it's mandatory before you can apply for the implementation funds, but on its own, it's still a very valuable document.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to see here on page 185 in our packet, the priority around schools, particularly in District 4 around Tyoke School, the addition of curbing and sidewalks on the main path to walk to that school. There's a lot of families in that neighborhood, and they're going to be very happy if we're able to secure funding to bring that to life. It's narrowed roadways, very old roadways, especially on the eastern side of town, and this is crucial. So I hope that we can get this done and get grant funding for all the needs here, but I certainly hope that if we only get a portion, we prioritize our schools.
That is the goal. And
Yep.
you can thank Kevin precisely. Kevin is the reason that we're focusing on schools here.
Appreciate that. Any further discussion? All right, with that, I will seek a motion to approve Resolution 2025-56 and 2025-59 as a block.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Capaldi, second by Councilman Pasqua. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
And now a motion to approve the block.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Capaldi, second by Vice President Verducci. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua?
Yes.
Member Capaldi?
Yes.
Vice President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Moving to item H, Resolution 2025-57, approving the allocation of school impact fees in the amount of $14,857.68 for equipment related to new sewer line for Coventry High School. This is pages 173 to 179 in our packets. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Pasqua. Manager Prillo.
So these are the items that I spoke of earlier. It's 3 grease trap auto cleaners. That alone is $13,000. And then there's some washing machine filters and some other traps that you need for the sinks in the salon at the high school. So all of these are part of the pretreatment process that we need to put in place as we put our application forward to West Warwick for approval to tie in our new sewer line come next spring, summer timeframe.
Right. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua? Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Moving to item I, Resolution 2025-58, opposition to the Rhode Island 2025 gun control legislation. This is pages 180 to 182 in our packet. Sponsor, Councilman Pasqua.
Thank you. We've all gotten quite a few emails about this. As you know, the state is considering some legislation right now that is pretty sweeping when it comes to firearms regulation. And so a lot of cities and towns are passing resolutions right now, either for or against this. And so I put this resolution together. I feel that this best represents the feeling of the town. This is in opposition to the proposed legislation. Before I read the resolution, though, I think it's really important that I state this. In my time in the last few weeks talking to people about this, and I've voiced my support to oppose the potential legislation. When I explained that I would put together a resolution to consider this, I've had some people say, oh, good, so if the state passes something, we don't have to follow those laws. And I want to be very clear that that's not what this is. No city or town has the right or ability to supersede state law. So if the state does pass new gun legislation, changing the laws, people have to follow the law. So this resolution that I have here, it lets the General Assembly know that we oppose the proposed laws, and that, and you'll hear it as I read it, that we support not changing it. So I felt it was really important to stress that before I read this, that if this council does approve this, it doesn't mean that we have our own set of laws outside of the state of Rhode Island. So resolution's kind of long, so bear with me. Resolution of the Town Council. Resolution in opposition to the Rhode Island 2025 gun control legislation. Whereas the Town Council of the Town of Coventry, pursuant to the Rhode Island statute and the Town of Coventry Home Rule Charter, is vested with the authority to administer the affairs of the Town of Coventry, Rhode Island. And whereas the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution, ratified on December 15th, 1791, as part of the Bill of Rights, protects the individual right of the people to keep and bear arms. And whereas the United States Supreme Court in District Columbia versus Heller, 554 U.S. 570, 2008, affirmed that individuals have the right to possess firearms unconnected with service in militia for traditionally lawful purposes such as self-defense within the home. And whereas the United States Supreme Court in McDonald versus Chicago, 561 U.S. 742, 2010, affirmed that the Second Amendment applies to the state and local governments through the 14th Amendment. And whereas the United States Supreme Court in the United States versus Miller 307 U.S. 174, 1939, recognize that firearms in common use and suitable for military purposes are protected by the Second Amendment, and whereas Article 1, Section 22 of the Rhode Island Constitution declares, "The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." And whereas Article 1, Section 6 of the Rhode Island Constitution guarantees that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, papers, possessions against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. And whereas, as a matter of principle and in recognition of more than 2 centuries of constitutionally grounded lawmaking, existing laws already address criminal misuse of firearms and, if properly enforced, are sufficient to protect public safety without infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens. And whereas, any legislation that retroactively criminalizes the possession of legally owned firearms effectively penalizes law-abiding citizens without due cause and risks violating multiple protections afforded by the Bill of Rights. Whereas, the Coventry Town Council wishes to reaffirm its support for the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution and for the provisions of the Rhode Island Constitution that protect individual right to keep and bear arms. And whereas, the members of the Coventry Town Council have each sworn to uphold the United States Constitution, the Rhode Island Constitution, and all applicable laws not deemed unconstitutional by a court of competent jurisdiction. And whereas, the Coventry Town Council values the principles expressed by James Madison that oppressors can tyrannize only when they achieve a standing army, enslave press, and disarm populace. And whereas, the council believes that law-abiding citizens should not be punished for the actions of criminals, and that firearm-related crimes should be prosecuted under existing laws to the fullest extent. Whereas, pending legislation before the Rhode Island General Assembly, such as House Bill 5436 and Senate Bill 359, collectively known as Rhode Island Assault Weapons Ban Act of 2025, would severely restrict the possession of a broad range of semi-automatic firearms, many of which are commonly used in lawful sporting, hunting, and self-defense activities. And whereas, these bills would compel law-abiding citizens as owners to register, render inoperable, surrender, or transfer legally owned firearms under the threat of criminal penalty, and require fingerprinting and registration fees, potentially violating Rhode Island General Laws 114741, which prohibits government firearm registration. Whereas, Rhode Island already enforces strict firearm regulations, including mandatory background checks, 7-day waiting period, handgun safety certification, which is also known as a blue card, and a rigorous concealed carry permitting process, regulations that have contributed to Rhode Island having one of the lowest gun death and suicide rates in the nation, according to the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. And whereas, the proposed legislation would have no meaningful impact on the criminal misuse of firearms and would instead disproportionately burden law-abiding citizens, local businesses, and federally licensed firearm dealers. And whereas, these proposed laws also constitute unfunded mandates by requiring municipalities to bear the costs of firearm storage and administration should the legislation be enacted. Now therefore it be resolved that the Town Council of Coventry, Rhode Island, on this 13th day of May 2025, opposes any and all legislation enacted by the Rhode Island General Assembly that infringes upon the rights of the people of the town of Coventry and the state of Rhode Island to keep and bear arms as guaranteed by the United States and Rhode Island constitutions. Be it further resolved, the town of Coventry reaffirms its commitment to stand as a Second Amendment sanctuary, protecting the constitutional rights of its citizens from unjust overreaching and unconstitutional firearm legislation. Be it further resolved, the Town Council of the Town of Coventry will not allocate municipal funds or resources for the construction, acquisition, and maintenance of facilities intended to store, manage firearms seized under any law that is determined to be unconstitutional. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to all Rhode Island municipalities, members of the Rhode Island General Assembly, the governor, and the lieutenant governor, respectfully requesting their support in defending the rights of law-abiding citizens.
Need to take a swig or something?
Oh, man, seriously.
Yeah.
All right, so, I fully support this resolution. I think that, it clearly explains what I think the sentiment is for the town of Coventry. I've got a lot of people that have reached out to me about this and asked that we do this, and I feel like every day we hear of a new municipality adopting very similar legislation, so I think this is good.
It's the pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by Councilman Brown,
And I will second it.
second by Councilwoman Capaldi. Discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua?
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Moving to council business matters carried over, we have our budget resolution from our previous meeting last week, Resolution 2025-49. This is on page 188 to 189 in our packets. Open the floor for discussion. Councilman Pasqua.
Thank you. So I gave this a lot of thought since our last meeting. And I've had some emails back and forth with the town manager on this. You know, we were looking for relatively a small amount of money compared to the overall budget to try and maybe reduce the rate a very minimal amount. But I think the impact that we have on the people by doing that is substantial compared to what we're actually saving on the overall number. I mean, we're talking about a $127 million budget, and I think we're discussing somewhere between $20,000 and $40,000, depending on how we really craft this. So there was a lot of good feedback that was given to us in the last hearing, the last time we considered this. And we came to an idea of maybe reducing all the non-union people from 3% to 2%. And that ended up being, well, I think it was like 49 people total. So it was more than what we were looking at, 50, yeah. So we had a list when we were talking about this for 10 people. It turned out to be a much larger pool of people once this all settled. And when I started to look at the numbers of some of the people that would be receiving this, some of them haven't received raises in 2 years, some of them are making, 50,000, some a little less. So we're not talking about people who are making a lot of money here, but the commitment that some of these people have to the town is enormous. I mean, some of these people have tenure of decades. So, we're all feeling the pinch of inflation and things are going up. We did already budget for 3% on this, and I think it'd be the right thing to commit to what we've told these people we're going to give them, the 3%. And just they put so much into this town, and they do a good job by our citizens. I don't want our citizens to lose a service that they provide, and I want to show them that we appreciate them and give them what I feel they deserve for a minimal cost. So I'm gonna ask that we go back to the 3% that we originally talked about. And, we had in the budget already, and the budget is 1.48%, which is fantastic. So,
I don't think the resolution was amended for the 2. I think we just asked for the math to be done, no? Am I wrong? Yes,
oh, okay, well, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the resolution as amended tonight from last week. Councilman Brown. You all right? Further discussion? Vice President Verducci.
I just wanted to say another item that was brought to our attention, we all heard from a lot of people too, is the fact that many of these people who reached out to us, who are town employees, live here. So it wasn't just an us versus them, employees, it's just another thing we wanted to consider while we were here, and a lot of the feedback was, these people live and work here, and, so again, going off of Councilman Pasqua's sentiment, I mean, I think a little bit deeper thought on that was nice to have. We see the numbers, we know what the impacts are now. We did our diligence, we look back in time. This wasn't in a vacuum. There were people who haven't gotten raises, and then we're setting the stage. A lot of the items Councilwoman Capaldi brought, we'll be a lot more informed on this going around next year. So,
Councilwoman Capaldi.
I think before our last meeting, VP and I had a conversation, and it was hard to retract something that was, we talked about it, it's very hard to retract something that was already out there. I do want to go on the record and state, it does say proposed budget. So that doesn't mean it's in stone. But I do agree with my colleagues that it's not a big saving. It's like $40,000, and it was already out there. I think by giving them the total 3% as was stated, it makes an even playing field to then, when we roll out all of these other ideas that we were talking about, or trying to make, employee evaluations. And I believe even Luke said in the email to us, have that across the board with union folks and non-union. It makes people have accountability of what they do and pride of what they do. And yes, they are good at what they're doing now. This will make them even more proud of what they're doing, and I think that's really important. So I do agree with keeping it as is with 3%.
Any further discussion? I'll echo the sentiments as well, but I want to speak globally on the budget. First of all, I think going forward, we should never let the discussion get to where it did last week, where we're naming specific names and deciding who's doing a good job and not. That was inappropriate. I think we can all learn from that and agree that that shouldn't be done. I think that largely, this budget is one of the lowest of the 39 cities and towns in terms of a proposed tax increase. If we make efforts, as asked by some interest groups, to get this to a 0, we're putting ourselves in a position where we bell curve up and down of asking for larger tax increases that people will really feel significantly, and we start to maybe see less investment in services. Making incremental investments in your corporation is what is best practice here. I think one thing that's blatantly obvious here that I haven't thought about being on the council in the last 4 years, I think we need to have a session as a council. Maybe it's in the fall before December, but the council's never asked what they envision for the next fiscal year before we start the budget process. Sure, it's the staff that carry it out. Sure, it's the people who come in for those services or consume those services, but we're elected to represent those interests, and I think our voice, and we keep talking about wanting a budget that presents a vision and a story, right? We as the council, the elected representatives of the people of Coventry, should be lead authors on that story. So I think we need to make an effort in the fall, early on, to address, to the finance director's point in his email today, following up, conversations about some of these lifts and these policy decisions need to be had much earlier. I would agree with that sentiment. And the council needs to be the lead on that. So I'd ask that we take the list that was discussed in the one and only finance committee meeting, and we take some of the sentiments that Councilman Capaldi shared last week, and we need to have some vision planning here about what we see for future policy on this budget. That doesn't take place now, not at this point. And that's not for a lack of not wanting to represent public opinion or dismissing it. It's about being responsible in terms of being fiduciary agents for this town. So I will be voting to pass the resolution as amended this evening. That includes the edits from last week. I thank the staff and administration for putting together a budget that is really sound and it seeks to make minimal impact on residents who are struggling, of course, to pay their bills, but also, as Vice President Verducci said, is largely also supporting residents. We have a large portion of Coventry residents that work and support this town. So with that, I will seek a motion to approve the resolution of 2025-49 as amended.
Council President, 1 second. Can you guys just change the date on that? The dates, we never fixed the date.
We got to put the resolution on the floor first, I think.
Okay.
Yep. Resolution as amended. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Capaldi, second by Vice President Verducci. Discussion. The amendment, Mr. Perillo?
Just to correct the date to today's date, from the 6th to the 13th.
Madam Clerk, do you have that?
It says it right on the resolution that it would be passed and adopted on the 13th day of May.
The lines.
It's already been changed?
It's in your packet, had the old date. We asked Carrie to change.
Gotcha.
it this evening, if you would.
Okay, fair enough. All right. If there's no further discussion, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Tonight, I'm voting to approve the town budget because it ensures our community continues to receive essential services such as public safety, education, infrastructure maintenance, and community programs. It maintains fiscal responsibility and supports the well-being of all Coventry residents. Yes.
Councilmember Pasqua?
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Vice President Verducci?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Moving to public comment for undocketed items, those items not on our agenda this evening, please come forward to the microphone, turn on the green light, state your name and address for the record.
Brittany Boyer, 318 Town Farm Road. I just wanted to jump back quickly to something Councilman Pasqua brought up earlier regarding the HVAC system. And I want to see if there is a way for us to move forward to see if there is any recourse on that 2019 system that was put in. I don't feel like it's that, I'm not an HVAC specialist, but I don't feel like that's that old of a system. I don't know how much we spent on it. I'm sure it was a lot of money. I know doing something simple to our home is expensive. I can't imagine what a building like that would cost to install something in. But I feel like it's not like we're talking about something that was put in 30 years ago. 2019, I feel like is something we can either reach out to who was the project manager on that job for, I'm sorry, you knew the name of the company that it.
Tower.
Okay, the project manager on that job, I'm not sure if we have somebody who still works for the town who is involved in anything at all, but I feel like recourse on that is something that would definitely,
There's got to be a warranty.
something,
Something
anything.
like, there has to be.
I mean, like I said, I'm not sure how much it cost, but for that amount of money, was it still being serviced? I just feel like we've got to, instead of just wiping our hands and putting a new one in, if we need a new one, I get it, you have to have those things. But I feel like instead of wiping our hands and just walking away from it, maybe just a little bit of due diligence on someone's part can, even if we recoup something, I feel like anything is helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Pasqua.
Just a little bit of background on that. That building used to be,
Can't go to,
We cannot have a discussion within a discussion. You can answer questions of someone at the podium, but you cannot have a discussion among council members or incite a discussion among council members. It's a violation.
we can docket this.
okay, all right, let's docket it, yeah.
Absolutely.
I got some information I want to put out there.
Yeah, sure thing. Any other members of the public council chambers, public comment, undocketed items?
My name's Lloyd Gale. I live at 356 Camp Westwood Road here in Coventry. I noticed that there was an à la carte selection process for the safety improvements. And I noticed that item G was for Western Coventry Elementary. I just wanted to put in my plug for that. I've had 3 children go to Western Coventry. My friend up the street has 3 children that are presently going to Western Coventry Elementary. Our road, Weeks Hill and Camp Westwood Road are common cut-throughs for traffic. I really like it if somebody would pay attention to that. I think that item G would be a big step in the right direction. I would also really appreciate it if we had a little bit more traffic enforcement out in Western Coventry. That's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Council chambers, public comment on undocketed items.
State my name again. Kayla Amaral, 52 Hornbeam Road. May I ask for clarification on something heard tonight?
Sure.
Okay, so it was about the safe roadway plan. I know you were speaking to areas prioritize schools. In the list that the gentleman gave, he kind of put priorities on the top and went down. I don't know if it was K or maybe it was the second one down, but it was New London Turnpike. And I just wanted to mention that my nephew takes the bus over there on New London Turnpike. He's high school, there's no bus monitor. I can't tell you how many times he's almost gotten hit by a car because people just fly through the red light and then down the first hill. So I didn't know if that was, and also the accidents that take place there. My mother-in-law lives over there in that vicinity, so we've seen a motorcycle get hit by a van right in front of us while standing outside. So I didn't know if that was gonna be any focus in that area, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Hold on, the list is right here. Let me bring it up.
A little bit on that, that's why I was wondering if, once that plan is incorporated into future development or anything else going on.
Yeah.
So that way it's tagged, it's highlighted, the risks, et cetera.
So, let's see. I'm not seeing New London on here.
I think it was in the second one. It said Arnold and then, yep, right at the
Okay,
second one down on that chart.
I've got young eyes, but not that good. Cody, can you read that? Can you Bob Barker it with your mic back there? What does K say?
D, sorry.
I'm sorry, D. Arnold Road, New London Turnpike, and Center of New England Boulevard. Yep, looks like, yeah, so the Cumberland Farms, the Duncan. Yeah,
Yes.
that whole, like, section there.
Yeah, it's terrible over there, so I just wanted to bring emphasis to that. And like I said, my nephew takes the bus, there's no bus monitor, people just fly through the light.
I think too, in addition to this, we'll hopefully see some alleviation once the connection to Hopkins Hill Road and Center of the Boulevard is complete and there's a light up in Hopkins Hill.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sure thing. Public comment on docketed items, come forward to the microphone. Public comment on undocketed items, members of the public on Zoom, please raise your hand to be let in. Please unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record, please.
Trisha Hunt, 526 Camp Westwood Road. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
All right, great. I just wanted to second what the gentleman that came up who lives on my road on Camp Westwood Road. Also, I have 2 small children and we try to walk to the bike path when we can, but it is very difficult because people do not drive, appropriately on the road. And just today driving them to school, I was almost run off the road by someone who was just driving straight down the middle. So anything we can do to improve safety around there. And also, there's been a few times now on the bike path where people have been on their dirt bikes fully masked and you can't see them. And it's just kind of felt a little less safe out here in Western than it has in the previous 5 years. So I know the town has a lot of demands, but anything we can do to get a bit more presence out here in Western would be great.
Thank you. Members of the public on Zoom, public comment on undocketed items, please raise your hand. Public comment going once, twice, 3 times. Public comment is now closed. And at this time, I'll seek a motion to adjourn at 7:27. Oh, sorry.
No, I want to adjourn in the name of John Ball Senior, the director of the Coventry Vocational School over there that passed away this week, the Votech School. A great man in this town. He was involved in a lot of civic organizations, elected to the Coventry Hall of Fame in 2013, so I'd like to adjourn in his name. He's a great loss to our town. He was a great man, so.
Thank you. Motion from Councilman Brown. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Verducci. Mr. Brown, would you prefer to just stand for a moment of silence or anything?
Yes.
All right. We have a motion and a second.